At the foot of Mount Fuji, there's a city where every road, every home, and every robot is connected to a single AI system that watches, learns, and reacts in real time. It's not a concept. It's not a rendering on some tech company's website. People are living there right now. And what Japan is building here might be the blueprint for how every city on Earth eventually works. It's called Woven City, and if you've never heard of it, you're about to understand why it's one of the most important experiments happening anywhere in the world right now. This isn't a government project either. It's built by Toyota. Yes, the car company. Except Toyota doesn't want to just be a car company anymore. They've been quietly building an entire city from scratch, a $10 billion test course for the future of how humans, robots, and AI can actually live together. And unlike most futuristic city concepts that stay stuck in a pitch deck forever, this one is real, it's occupied, and it officially opened its doors with actual residents moving in. Stick with me, because the details of how this place actually functions are genuinely wild, and it says a lot about where Japan, and honestly the whole world, is headed next. If you're into stories about the future actually being built in real time instead of just talked about, hit that follow button right now. This is exactly the kind of thing this channel is all about. So why is a car company building a city? Here's the thing. Toyota has been going through a massive transformation, shifting from thinking of itself as just a car manufacturer to positioning itself as a mobility company, meaning everything about how people and goods move through the world. And you can't really test the future of mobility, autonomous vehicles, delivery robots, smart infrastructure, inside a regular city that's already built around cars from the last century. You need a blank slate. A real place where you can test how humans actually interact with all of this technology in daily life, not in a lab, not in a simulation, but in an actual neighborhood with actual people living their actual lives. That's exactly what Woven City is. Located in Susono City in Shizuoka Prefecture, right at the base of Mount Fuji, this is a living laboratory where the streets themselves are designed differently than any city built before it. There are separate paths for pedestrians, for personal mobility vehicles, and for faster automated transport, all woven together, which is actually where the name comes from. Instead of retrofitting AI and robotics into an old city that was never designed for it, Toyota built the entire street layout, the entire infrastructure, from the ground up specifically to support it. The residents living there are called weavers. Early on, that group has mostly been Toyota employees and their families, along with partner companies and researchers, all willingly signing up to live inside this experiment and interact with the technology daily. The plan has always been to grow that population over time, eventually opening it up to the general public as well. Here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. Toyota didn't just build smart houses and call it a day. They built an entire AI system underneath the whole city, something called the AI Vision Engine, a large-scale model that interprets what's happening across the city in real time using visual, behavioral, and environmental data. Think of it as a kind of nervous system for the entire city, constantly processing what's going on around it, understanding context, and anticipating what residents and vehicles need before they even ask. Combine that with a companion technology called the Integrated Anzen System, Anzen meaning safety in Japanese, which layers behavior prediction and driving assistance on top of that core AI engine, and you start to get a picture of a city that isn't just smart in the sense of having a few connected gadgets. It's a city actively watching, predicting, and responding, all the time, everywhere. If your mind is already going to some dystopian surveillance angle, I get it, and we'll talk about that. But stay with me for a second, because understanding how this actually functions day to day is honestly more fascinating than scary. Drop a comment telling me, would you actually want to live somewhere like this? I'm genuinely curious how many of you would sign up versus how many of you are already uncomfortable with the idea. Let's talk about how residents actually experience daily life here. Delivery robots move through the streets bringing packages directly to homes. Personal mobility vehicles, small automated pods, help residents get around without needing to drive themselves. Smart home systems adjust based on residents' needs and routines. And all of this data flows into something called the Woven City Data Fabric, a platform designed specifically to let all of this information move between systems while still respecting individual privacy preferences. Toyota has been explicit that this isn't meant to be a surveillance state dressed up as innovation. It's meant to be infrastructure that actually understands and adapts to the people living within it, with residents having a say in how their data gets used. There's also something called the Inventor Garage, which opened as a dedicated space where partner companies, researchers, and entrepreneurs can actually build and test new mobility products and services right there in the city, alongside the residents who will actually use them. It's not just Toyota running this experiment alone either. A growing list of outside companies have joined as what Toyota calls inventors, bringing their own technology and ideas into the ecosystem, testing real products with real people living real daily lives, rather than relying on focus groups or lab simulations. One of the clearest real examples so far involves a Japanese coffee company using the AI vision engine in a proof-of-concept project to optimize retail and logistics within the city, essentially using the same underlying AI system that powers safety and mobility to also improve how a business operates day to day. That's the whole philosophy behind this place. Build one powerful, adaptable AI foundation, and let it get applied across wildly different use cases, from keeping pedestrians safe to helping a local business run more efficiently. If this is the kind of story that gets you excited about where technology is actually headed, make sure you're subscribed. I cover stuff like this all the time, real projects reshaping the world in ways most people haven't even noticed yet. So why is this happening in Japan specifically, and why now? A big part of the answer comes down to demographics. Japan has one of the fastest aging populations in the world, combined with a shrinking workforce. That creates a very real, very practical need for automation and AI-assisted infrastructure that goes far beyond convenience. When there simply aren't enough working-age people to fill every job that needs doing, from deliveries to caregiving to basic city maintenance, robotics and AI stop being a luxury experiment and start becoming a genuine necessity for keeping a functioning society running smoothly. Japan has also always had a cultural relationship with robotics that's a little different from a lot of Western countries. Robots have long been seen there less as something to fear and more as helpful companions and tools, which probably makes a project like this, actual humans willingly living alongside AI systems and robots every single day, culturally more approachable than it might be elsewhere. And it's not just Toyota either. This fits into a much bigger national push. The Japanese government has been championing a broader vision often referred to as Society 5.0, essentially a plan for how AI, robotics, and data-driven infrastructure get woven, no pun intended, into everyday life across the entire country, not just inside one experimental city. Woven City is really the most visible, most ambitious real-world test case of that much larger national vision. Here's the bigger picture question worth sitting with. If this experiment works, if Toyota proves that an AI-integrated city genuinely makes life safer, more efficient, and honestly just better for the people living there, what happens next? Does this stay a contained experiment at the foot of Mount Fuji, or does it become the template every major city eventually gets rebuilt around? Because right now, most of the world's cities were designed decades, sometimes centuries, before anyone imagined AI or autonomous vehicles being part of daily life. Woven City is the opposite. It's a city imagined and built specifically for this era from day one. That's genuinely rare. Most technology gets forced awkwardly into old infrastructure that was never designed for it. This is infrastructure being built specifically around the technology from the very first blueprint. Now I want to hear your take. Do you think this kind of AI-integrated city stays a niche experiment, or do you think we're looking at an early version of how most cities eventually get built? Comment below. I read every single one and I'm genuinely curious how people feel about this once they understand what's actually happening there versus just imagining some sci-fi worst case. And if you want to keep following stories like this, the real, tangible ways AI is reshaping the world right now instead of some distant hypothetical future, make sure you're following this channel. This is exactly the kind of thing I'll keep digging into. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.